All right. I love it. Virgil Ortiz and Errol Spence Jr. are going at it with one another. Very entertaining in this very slow, if not dead still time in boxing. Errol Spence Jr. called Virgil Ortiz a little crybaby, talking about when he was a little kid. Probably got his butt whooped. Everybody does at some point in time in their life. But probably got his butt whooped in a fight and cried afterwards. That's the only reason I could think that Errol Spence would have actually seen Virgil Ortiz cry. And Virgil Ortiz said, "No, that's not the truth. And matter of fact, I'm going to have to change your name from Errol the Truth Spence to Errol the Lie Spence." Kind of corny, but a good setup for a fight down the road that could be an excellent fight. But let's talk about Errol Spence Jr. and Virgil Ortiz and what this is all really about, in my opinion, in this video. All right, welcome back, man. Virgil Hunter, Errol Spence Jr., or should I say, to be, put them in order of priority or stature in the boxing world, Errol Spence Jr. and Virgil Hunter. I did a video about these guys maybe late last week or whatever, because man, I like these type of situations where there's a veteran fighter. Could you call Errol Spence Jr. a veteran, or is he I don't know, man. He's probably not a veteran. He's just a prime champion, right? You got one of these prime champion, top of the world type of dude having a real back and forth with a prospect like Virgil Hunter, who has a tremendous upside. They're from the same area, so as a result, they wind up, kind of pubbing each other up, man, and creating a buzz in their hometown. I think it's an absolute wonderful thing, man. Errol Spence Jr. has so the gist of this is Errol Spence Jr. I'm sure had heard that Virgil Ortiz said that he wants to fight Errol Spence Jr. and he wants to fight him he wants to beat him in Dallas, and he wants to do it I think he said in 2022. And he said that he didn't want to wait to beat Errol Spence Jr. when Errol Spence Jr. was old, and everybody would say, "Yeah, you just beat him because he's old." Now, in my opinion, man, I thought that was, that's slightly disrespectful, man. Like it, and it's slightly, what do you call it? It's slightly disrespectful and tremendously jumping the gun. But if I'm Errol Spence Jr., I'd find some way to clown the dude too. Like, look, man, you're going to sit up there and talk about how you're going to beat me, Like you want to beat me now because you don't want any excuses when you beat me when I'm old. Man, how is that not the guy that is starting to talk to smack, man? Because I know perfectly well Errol Spence Jr. didn't bring up Virgil Ortiz's name in any interview just for the fun of it. Errol Spence Jr. was reacting to something Virgil Ortiz said. So he's like, look, man, yeah, basically called him, yeah, man, that little kid, man, that little crybaby. It's like, man, I ain't listening to that little crybaby, man, whatever. You know what I mean? Good fighter, but hey, man, I remember when he was getting his ass whooped in the amateurs and crying. So, so what? Virgil Ortiz is reasonable for Virgil Ortiz to have an attitude about him saying he's crying. But look, man, dude, you're a human being. Everybody cries. Everybody has cried. Okay, if you have never cried in an emotional situation, my friend, there's something that's wrong with you. Okay, you're repressed, and more than likely you need to see a psychologist. Okay, people cry. There's a reason why tears come out of your body. It's a bodily function that helps you deal with stress. Okay, saying that they caught you crying one time and calling you a crybaby when you were a little kid, because that's what Errol Spence Jr. said. He's like, man, relax. You were a little kid, man. You know what I mean? Yeah, you cried. You're a little kid. Dude, anybody watching this video, I could say, yeah, man, you were a little crybaby. You cried. Everybody at some point in time in their life has been called a crybaby or told not to cry, stop crying, that type of stuff. Whatever, man. There's a significant age difference between the two of them. Nothing to get mad about. But Virgil Ortiz responds and says, hey, man, that's not true. That's not true. But I remember when you lost the Golden Gloves. And I guess maybe he was implying that Errol Spence Jr. was crying when he lost the Golden Gloves or something like that. And Errol was like, look, man, yeah, dude, I won, what did he say? I won the Nationals the next year. I'm pretty sure he also went to matter of fact, I know he went to the Olympics. And he had a stellar amateur career, man. So I'm not quite sure where Virgil Ortiz is going with that. But all that said, man, I love the back and forth. I think it's a lot of fun, man. A lot of fun. I hope they continue to do it. I hope they continue to jab at each other, man, until this coronavirus pops off, gets done and we can all get back to some semblance of normality. And when I say get back to some semblance of normality, I absolutely believe some semblance of normality. For the people that are members of the Patreon, go check out the Patreon. I got a video specifically up. I got a video up about that particular issue, because I don't think anything is ever going to always go all the way back to normal. I think we're just going to have to get back to a new normal. But in the meantime, man, when we're trying to figure it out and see what's going on and people are doing what they got to do, this back and forth between two Texas fighters, I think, is a great thing. Now, in reality, what is going to pop off, and I've said this in my other video, what's going to pop off is that more than likely Virgil Ortiz and Errol Spence Jr. are not going to fight one another, because Virgil Ortiz is known by, outside of the state of Texas, very few people, primarily because Virgil Ortiz is with Golden Boy Promotions. He's probably Golden Boy Promotions' best prospect, even though he's not their most, he's not their most promoted. Ryan Garcia is definitely, as far as the young fighters, take Canelo Alvarez out of that equation. I mean, I'm talking about of the young fighters, of the young prospects. Ryan Garcia is clearly, the young poster boy for Golden Boy Promotions. He falls into the line of that, the pretty boy Mexican, like Oscar De La Hoya and Canelo Alvarez, redhead Canelo Alvarez. And right in that line, he's, they're going to sell him that way, pitch him that way. And Virgil Ortiz, that's not really the situation with Virgil Ortiz, man. Virgil Ortiz, at first glance is more of that. And I don't mean to be, I hope I don't offend anybody. He seems to be more in the line of that Julio Cesar Chavez, Juan Manuel Marquez, that type of just rough, hardcore type of Mexican fighter, man, that is coming in there to beat the tar out of you. And which is why, man, I think he's the better fighter than Ryan Garcia, but Ryan Garcia more than likely is going to get the promotion. Both of those guys are going to suffer to a degree because they're with the zone. And and Canelo as well, as Canelo's, Canelo being considered the most popular boxer in the world and all that, you can't verify that anymore because he hasn't fought, because he hasn't had a pay-per-view in, it's got to be 2 years, right? He's pushing up on 2 years. How long ago was it that he fought Gennady Golovkin? His last pay-per-view fight was Gennady Golovkin 2, right? Since then, he has had several fights. He's had Kovalev, he's had Daniel Jacobs, he had Rocky Fielding. Is that the only one? I thought maybe that there was another one in there, but definitely Danny Jacobs, Rocky Fielding, and Sergey Kovalev. Those are all a bunch of, who cares really for me, except for the Danny Garcia fight. I think the Danny Jacobs fight, I think that was a legitimate fight, man. A good fight. But the rest of those, man, it's just like whatever. You don't even know, you really don't know the level of popularity for Canelo Alvarez because most people don't have an opportunity to watch his fight. These are not fights that are just like, out there where everybody in the world knows who you are. Now, a lot of people still know who Canelo Alvarez is because of the Mayweather fights and the Julio Cesar Chavez fight and the Gennady Golovkin fight. But it's just, you just don't know what's going on with him and how that's going to affect him if he ever has to get off of that basically closed circuit type of situation that he's in. But anyway, his popularity, his name is established in boxing to a very large degree but not anybody else that's fighting over there on the zone. They're going to have that struggle to ever get mainstream recognition because the mainstream never gets to see them fight. It's only the hardest of hardcore boxing fans. And even those people, myself including, are dropping the zone because there's nothing to the zone other than boxing. And since we can't get live fights, why would you bother waiting to pay? Why would you bother to pay? So they lost all that traction with all of the money that they spent on boxing. With now boxing getting shut down, they're going to lose all of they're going to lose a considerable amount of the subscribers that they gained and have to start all over, right? So you don't know where that's going, man. I really, really wish that Virgil Ortiz for the future, so you could get him and who I believe is his real competition around that age and around that experience level at that weight is Jaron Ennis. But anyway, in the meantime, I'll take the banter back and forth. It's a lot of fun, man. Gives us something to talk about in the live streams, gives us something to talk about in the videos, and just continue to focus and chop it up about boxing while we go through, the stuff that's going on outside of these walls, Anyway, it is what it is though. Thank you so much for continuing to support the channel. Check me out on the next video. We do them at 1:15, 1:15, 3:15, 5:15, and 8:15. I actually record them all at the same time or around the same time and process them, but I cut them up and let you guys get them in bits because a 45-minute straight video might be a little too much for people. Anyway, it is what it is. Check me out on the next video in the live stream. And with that, I'm out. Peace.